And my life transformed dramatically over the time at Turtle, but also the company and all of our employees have had to adapt and change over a century.
Welcome to Embracing Digital Transformation, where we explore how people, process, policy, and technology drive effective change. This is Dr. Darren, Chief Enterprise Architect, Educator, Author, and most importantly, your host. On this episode, Rising from Legacy, How Culture Fuels Transformation, with special guest CEO of Turtle, Jane Millard. Jane, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Hey, I'm really excited about this. When I first interviewed you and we talked about your background and everything, I said, we've got to have Jane on the show because the story is incredible. But before we drop into what we're going to talk about today, which is digital transformation and things like that, everyone knows on my show, I only have superheroes on the show. And every superhero has a background story, and you've got an incredible background story. So, Jane, what's your background story?
Okay. Well, I think first of all, I'm humbled by the term superhero, but I was very fortunate at an early age to work and be mentored by a superhero that was Martha Graham. So I came from a family business background. I was the fourth generation kid in a family business that had gone through a lot of turmoil, let's say, in the third generation. So my mom owned it, and my mom and dad ran it and built it through the 60s and 70s and 80s. I was a high school student and a dancer and choreographer, never had any plans for entering the family business. And my parents honestly never really encouraged it. They wanted me to pursue my creative outlet, which is such a blessing. So I had every intention of being a dancer and lived in the New York City area. So had exposure to Alvin Ailey and Martha Graham and all the beautiful ballet companies here in New York. And that was my world. And I lived in it until I got injured. And then I had to actually go figure out how to get a job when I graduated college. And briefly worked for an investment bank, decided, nope, I'm going back to performing arts. I got a job with Martha, and I had the opportunity to work and run her company with her and a number of other incredibly talented people through the 80s. So when I look back on my role now as CEO and chairman of the family business, because yes, I did finally get sucked in and am honored to be a custodian of a 100-year-old family business.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So Turtle is an electrical distribution business. We were founded in Lower Manhattan in 1923 by my great-grandfather, who thought, hey, this new electricity thing, there's got to be some business opportunity here. So we started, at the dawn of electricity and there was no regulation, there was no standardization. We sold every manufacturer, every part that came off, whatever inventor du jour. But ultimately we transformed with the industry over 100 years through 4 wars, got into industrial automation, provided a lot of the parts for all of the factories that were, born in New York City during the war. And now we're global, and we have businesses in power distribution, utility, any infrastructure project here in New York. We're there doing power distribution, lighting, all the airports, tunnels, bridges. And I, as a female, when I started as a leader in the business, worked from the ground up, warehouse, had every job at Turtle. It was a little humbling being one of the only women in the business.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a
Well, and
very
I love how you started at the bottom.
yeah,
I think that's wonderful because you get to see how your company, because this is your legacy,
yes.
right? And
Right.
you got to see how your every aspect of your company works instead of just sliding in at the top. And I bet you gained a lot of respect from your employees by doing that.
Yeah, and I was somewhat of a and always have been a little bit of a reluctant leader, which I think helps because when you're in a family business, employees actually want you to stick around. They don't want the family to sell to some,
Of
president,
conglomerate or
private
yeah.
equity or whatever. No offense to private equity. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience and but honestly, it's a very male dominated the construction industry is very male
Oh, yeah.
dominated, so is my business. And having the background of working for a warrior like Martha Graham, who is fearless and taught me to be brave. And the most important thing she taught me was that change is inevitable and that change is constant. And my life transformed dramatically over the time at Turtle, but also the company and all of our employees have had to adapt and change over a century.
Well, I wanna talk about that a little bit because your great-grandfather, he was all about digital transformation,
Yeah.
but it
Y-
wasn't called digital transformation back then, it was transformation, right? Because he was at the forefront of, electric distribution. He was driving new technology and he found a niche on where he could do that. How do you sustain that? And I'm guessing your company didn't sustain that for 100 years. It probably ebb and flowed quite a bit, would be my guess.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think when it comes to transformation and change, uh, the most important thing you need to realize is that you have to find comfort in the discomfort because it's
Right.
constant. And transformation is a part of our lives no matter what. So how do we harness that discomfort and channel it into a creative energy that can build a business, that can build a product, that can empower our teams to work together as individuals collectively coming together to do something incredible. It's all about adapting to change, but finding it as almost a life force because it is. When you look at AI and what's happening, it's fantastic the amount of transformation that AI is bringing, particularly to our business, which is so urgent. Energy management, energy
Oh, yeah,
savings,
absolutely.
optimizing energy for EV, for data centers. It's all critical, and especially with the supply chain issues we're having where there's a 3-year wait on a turbine, and data centers build is just, like, exponential at the moment. All of it's crazy, all of it's chaos, but I'm finding that the more chaos, the more that, humanity is really relying on trust and relationships to harness and cooperate and collaborate to make all this work. It's a really interesting time in our industry.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I've heard people mention something like that before, that AI is actually helping us become more human.
Yeah. Well, I
Right,
mean,
because we have to build those relationships of trust even more so now than we have in the past.
I kind of see AI as a manifestation of our humanity. And it
Interesting.
needs to serve our humanity. And I think it can allow us to be more intuitive as human beings. The more we add that layer of AI as a accelerator, bringing us the information we need at uh, in 3 seconds versus 3 months. And
Yeah.
and it's I think it's really gonna if we do this right,
That's the big if sometimes, right?
I just came from this panel where we were talking about AI, and there was a wonderful gentleman from SAP on the panel, and he talked about the importance of ethical AI and integrity in AI, and that's why we all need to stay human. It's like the most urgent need right now, and particularly in this rapid rate of transformation we're going under.
Well, and that brings up, yeah, I totally agree with that. And I was just thinking this week, especially with all the big, huge announcements on AI and building data centers and electricity, we've taken for granted that I turn the light switch and it comes on. So I hate to say it, but your industry has become invisible to most people because I just expect it. Right? But with the explosion of data centers, and the power consumption that we're talking about, all of a sudden, your industry now becomes highly relevant. People are looking at it more now. How do you absorb all that new found attention that maybe you don't want, right? Maybe it's great to have a company, I'm doing really well, but I don't have all of the pressure that I've had that I haven't had to deal with, right? Are you feeling that any of that pressure, Jane? Or
Yeah, but I mean, we don't really look at it as pressure. We look at it as opportunity because our imperative is to serve the customer. And one of the terms we have at Turtle is radical collaboration. And I have to say, our company represents about 1,000 manufacturers. They all are in your home or in your workplace or both. And they're silently providing, the power, the infrastructure, the cybersecurity, the networking, everything you need to be safe and lit and warm. And and yes, there's the confluence of, the data center build out, which is extraordinary. It's the most rapid build out of power, uh, in both private, where like companies like Google and Amazon are
yeah, they're
look,
building nuclear, they're buying nuclear power
yeah,
plants. That's
yeah.
crazy.
Let's buy a
Right?
nuclear power plant. 38 gigawatts. So, that'll help. I think
Oh
that'll
God.
help. But they're also looking at modular nuclear, and
Yeah.
they're looking wherever they can to find the equipment they need to build data centers. And so how do we do that and do it sustainably so it's good for the planet? The most valuable electron is the one that you save. So efficiency and the efficiencies that AI is driving through energy management is imperative number one at Turtle. Like, do you have the right energy management software to make sure you're optimizing the energy you're producing? And then AI can also be a tool for creating a digital twin of your energy system to detect, faults and leaks and preemptively fix those problems. It's all efficientizing, and what I like the most, saving energy. Because before we start producing more, let's get right what we're doing now, because that's going to be what's best for the planet. So we see it as an opportunity. It's also a lot of, telling your customer who's building a terminal in LaGuardia that switchgear package is going to be 6 months late, and it's going to delay the opening of 6 gates, and I can't tell you how much that's going to cost.
Oh yeah.
It's it's a lot of those conversations too. So it's having the right relationships, and again, building trust and sticking to what's most important about humanity.
I love that. All right, I want to switch gears just a little bit because I'm really fascinated in how
Mm.
you keep a 100-year-old company relevant. because I'm sure that when you joined, you had to put your own stamp on it, and you had to make some changes to a company, probably with a very rich, deep culture. How do you help a company through a transformation? Because I'm sure you had to take them through a transformation. Um, how do you do that? And then, well, I have a follow-on question on how do you continue to do that transformation? But how did you, when you came in, how did you say, all right, we got to move from what we've been doing to where I see our vision? How do you make that big change, especially when you've got such an ingrained and deep culture? I'm assuming you probably have workers there that are generational workers.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would guess,
We have
right?
wedding we have second generations working for us. It's all amazing. Um, so when I got there, Turtle was a very, uh, fiercely entrepreneurial, and
Oh wow,
it was driven by a lot of very talented, very, individual, tribes in the organization. So pockets, and very competitive with each other, which is wonderful. You want that. You love I
yeah,
love
but you want to compete with your competition, right?
Correct, correct, correct. So it was very tribal, very protective of information and relationships and but we did have a lot of respect because we were also considered a very, we always did the right thing. We were very ethical. Um, but again, breaking down silos, I think in the 90s and early 2000s was one of the most challenging things in organizations, and Turtle is no exception. So when I showed up, it was I actually also had about 5 years into my leadership, I had the opportunity to work uh, with Raj Sisodia on conscious capitalism. So as I was trying to break down silos and kind of even out the level, the power pockets in the company, uh, so that everyone had a voice. I was also spreading the word of conscious capitalism, where our business needs to be in business for the good of everyone, not just the profits we deliver to the
I love
company.
it.
And we also, as a community and a family, of employees, we need to support each other and we need to make sure all boats rise at the same time. So it took a couple of years, but everyone, became more collaborative, more trusting, more, able to uh, cooperate on, CRMs and building data lakes actually, all marching in the same line towards, uh, best practices in technology, which is it's a heavy lift for many organizations. So we're really proud to be where we are now. Um, and when I introduce new technologists into the company and they complain about how, people complain about them or they're taking too many arrows, I'm like, just wait, just wait. It takes about 18 months, but they're gonna love you eventually. You'll be an
It sounds like a family, right? I
yes.
mean, the most critical of my critics are my brothers and my sisters,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
the reason why is they want me to be better than I am.
Yes, and that's a gift, honestly. I think it's a gift you give someone, raising the bar on what you think they're capable of.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you break down those silos? Because I did you do this sounds kind of crazy. Did you do like company picnics? Did you do I mean, there's a lot of soft skills involved in there that because I imagine those tribes were fierce, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen that in companies all the time. How do you break down those tribal barriers that get
So,
established?
it's mostly just by wearing people down, but,
I love
you know,
it.
when I first started, I introduced myself as the poster child for nepotism. So I got it right out there on the table.
I love it, Jane.
Well, it's kind of a ploy
I'm
because
here because I'm the daughter of the
right,
former CEO.
exactly, like, and
Let's just
I'm
be clear, everyone knows that, right?
right, and mom and dad are just waiting to see if I screw up. But there's, it creates this oh no, you're not just that. You're actually, you, give yourself some credit. You've done some good things. And I'm like, oh, well, that's only because of you. It's only because of, what you've done for the company for so many years. So you eventually wear them down, and you have to show the vision. You've got to give them the North Star to align to. You got to keep hammering it over their heads every day. And of course, culture and values are critical. So our culture is the most valuable thing we have in our company.
I can tell just by talking to you. Right, it sounds like a big family.
It is. Yeah. It's it's uh um it's a multi-generational human, like, act of becoming, and we're all just so excited to see what's around the corner, what's the next decade. Everyone knows, like, the family would never consider selling the company, because it's like, well, this is our duty.
The next big question I have is to you, are you starting to groom the next CEO?
Yes. So, I have, when I took over, we were about 300 million, and we're over a billion now. So it's bigger. It's a lot more complicated. I'm not going to say it's less fun, but it's less fun. It's a
I
lot of work, and
It's a
the
lot of work, yeah.
CEO of a $300 million company is a very different CEO of a billion, and then how do we get to 2, and how do we get to 5?
Of
And
course, yeah.
and I found myself, I've been doing this for a while. I love my job, but I also love innovation, and I love creativity, and I love harnessing what's next. So about 2 years ago when we turned 100, we started an incubator. And what we do is either incubate new business models or new go-to-market strategies, or we micro invest in green tech that we've come across along the way. So we're spending a lot of time helping young entrepreneurs commercialize because we're closest to the market. So I'm having so much fun doing that. It's taking away from my CEO duties. So I currently have a co-CEO who is Louis Valls. I call him El Jefe because he's Cuban, and he's a phenomenal leader. He's doing an incredible job, and we're really good at tag teaming the role. I can focus on innovation and what's next, and the overall strategy for the family of businesses we have, and then he just gets the job done. He's an animal. So what's next for Turtle? We have a really, really strong bench. I'm a firm believer of growing within and nurturing the talent you have, because everyone's a, incredible leader waiting to happen. And so, the next leader is at Turtle, and it's just a matter of developing them.
So I love that approach because if you push that down into your whole leadership team, then every one of your leaders should be finding their replacement.
Yes. Yes. And we have an independent board. I'm the only family member who sits on the board. And our stock is consolidated in one trust for the family. So I'm like the one shareholder vote too. So it keeps all
Right.
the
Yeah.
nonsense out of the family business. And but my daughter is an observer. She's our 5th gen. She's our director of sustainability and social impact. And so the board is really, their job is to make sure the right leadership is in place if something happens to me.
Right.
And so they insist that every one of our senior leaders, every divisional president has a session once a year where they go to the board and they say, okay, if I win the lottery tomorrow, this is who I have to replace me. And this is who I would pick in 5 years. And it's a really great exercise, and it keeps everyone, you know, full transparency, full visibility into the organization.
I really love this. It reminds me of companies in Japan in a lot of respects. They have a 50-year plan, and they have this long vision, which you guys have that vision too, which I think a lot of companies are missing out on. They're looking, and maybe it's because of Wall Street, where everything has to be quarter to quarter. You get the opportunity to look really long term, 10 years, 15, 30 years out,
Yeah.
which is incredible.
It's fun. It's where the family put, the jewel is the business. It's not, um, having an equity event or, a private plane, although some days I do think that
That would
might
be
be.
nice. I
Uh,
want one of those too, because I just got back late last night because
oh
of
yeah,
delays.
horrible. Um, but yes, we look for the long term, and I think as we think about what's most important about the company, it's the trust we build in the people we have, and giving them the security blanket of knowing that, they're not going to get a new ownership or new boss that's going to change the rules of the game, and that's how we keep people for 40, 50 years.
That's incredible. Because I love that you use the term trust, because in corporate America today, we rarely see
Which is
that
sad.
trust.
Yeah.
It really is sad. Especially in high tech. I'm in high tech. There's absolutely no guarantees in high tech anymore. No one's going to work for the same company their whole career. There's layoffs all the time because CEOs grow too quickly, too fast, and then I,
Short term gain.
short term thinking. Uh, I envy you, Jane. I envy you because that's so unique what you have. I hope you understand how unique it is, and it's such a blessing because it's pretty incredible to see.
Well, when you say unique, I think about Martha Graham because she believed that, every person is their own unique life force. And if you bury that, then you'll, the world will be less for it. And I think to really be able to express that life force, you need trust. You need to have an environment where you can trust people. You can trust your teammates. You can trust your boss.
No, I think the title of our podcast is "Digital Transformation with Trust" or something like that. Because I mean, I get that from you, that is so important. If people want to build this, what you have built, how do they get started?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, and I meet
Would you
so.
encourage someone to start a family business and to make it roll? Because I know it's difficult. Especially those Thanksgiving dinners when
Yes.
Uncle Charlie got fired at work, and you have to meet him at Thanksgiving dinner because he was taking advantage of the family business. I'm sure that happens, right? I mean, obviously.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, we all have our stories, and it is kind of a family business in America is kind of a cult. Because once you get to like the fourth gen, or start at the first gen, there are entrepreneurs who don't want to sell, and they believe they've built a legacy for either themselves, their family, and their employees, and they can't let it go. So it goes to the next gen, and you need rules. You need agreed upon rules in the family for how the family should interact with the business, what the expectations are, your role in continuing the legacy. And all my kids understand this. They understand, they're like, we don't want to be you, but we
Just like
love.
you didn't want to be your parents, right?
Right.
You didn't want anything to do with the family business.
Right. And look at me now, it sneaks
Yeah.
up on you. But but I think in general, if you have, transparency, and first of all, talk about growth, if it's explosive growth, that's great. But in general, conservative, slow, steady
Consistent.
growth. underline conservative, and don't make big bets if it's going to mean you're betting the farm. Make big smart bets, and hire slow, get the right people, and fire fast if they're not, and align them to your core values.
Oh no, we
Um,
lost her.
but I mean, everyone at Turtle is an extension of my family, and it's such a gift and a blessing for my kids, my extended family. Yeah, it's our duty, really, because my mother raised us saying the most important thing is the employees and the business. And we were like, so what are we, chopped liver? But we kind of understood. We knew how much she loved us, but when we're making business decisions, business comes first.
No, that's incredible. Jay, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today. I've learned so much. It's got me really energized. So I appreciate that. I know our listeners will appreciate this as well.
Well, it's been a joy talking to you and sharing my story. And I have to say, I love your podcast, and it's really an honor to be on it.
Thanks for listening to Embracing Digital Transformation. If you enjoyed today's conversation, give us 5 stars on your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube. It really helps others discover the show. If you want to go deeper, join our exclusive community at patreon.com/embracingdigital, where we share bonus content, and you can always connect with other change makers like yourself. You can always find more resources at embracingdigital.org. Until next time, keep embracing the digital transformation.